Bum 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 bum. The Peter Dislike Show. Bum 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 bum. So this Friday, finally, a long-awaited art show where I hope to sell this and among other bismuth crystals that I've been making. It's going to be a tough one for me because there are so many bismuth crystals that I really like that I'm kind of hesitating on selling. But if I get a good price on them, I can always do more, right? Sometimes when I'm really hesitating on selling something like this, I try to remind myself how many times more bismuth I could buy with the proceeds to hopefully make even better ones, right? And sometimes that helps me. I don't know, I'm a very visual person when it comes to money. Years ago when I had difficulty with budgeting for various things, I would try to visualize how much silver I was conserving by doing something in a certain way. Like for example, I would have a hard time finding vacation time to go see my girlfriend. This was at a time when I was dating somebody in Rochester, New York. I was living in Seattle. And then I would remind myself, you know what, as hard as it is for me to go home to Rochester at the moment, at least I save up the money from not going. That's like how many ounces of silver. And then I would visualize that many ounces of silver. Nowadays, it's all bismuth. I hardly even think about silver anymore. And when I have a difficult time with selling one of my crystals, I visualize, oh my God, I could buy 20 times more bismuth with the proceeds, and I'll give it another try, right? And I'll get to play with it, and that's great. But next week after the art show, I hope to take a vacation away from pouring the bismuth, not to go anywhere specifically, but to accomplish another goal of mine for this year, which was to go out there and look for my significant other. I have a big problem with that department in my life because I don't want romance. I want a best friend forever and somebody to chase our dreams with, not somebody to settle down with necessarily. Actually, the art show might also be a good place to do this. But lately I've been hiding out at home pouring bismuth crystals so much that I've kind of lost sight of doing that. And it goes to show that all of these things come at a cost, right? When I'm pouring bismuth crystals, I'm not going out there to look for my significant other. When I'm going out there to look for my significant other, I'm not getting exercise sometimes. Actually, I got a little bit of a blessing in disguise. I had accidentally locked my keys in my car, and I was thinking about calling AAA, but then I realized I forgot to renew my AAA. And when you renew it, it takes like 2 days for it to activate. And I locked my keys in the car at work, and I decided to walk home. It's a 5-mile walk. I'm just really cheap because I'm thinking about all the bismuth that I could buy for all the money that I have to spend on AAA if I don't wait 48 hours. And I visualized how much bismuth it was. I need exercise anyway, so I decided to walk. And it came with an expense, right? The time I spent walking was time I wasn't spending pouring bismuth crystals or looking for my significant other, or among other things. That gets me to the point of this video is that there's a while ago I saw a study about how bad it is to try to multitask. So for example, the other day I was trying to call an old friend in Seattle, but I was busy. I was pouring bismuth crystals. I had him on speakerphone. And then I kept having him repeat various things because I heard him, but I wasn't processing it. And I realized, oh my God, this is not working very well. I said, let me call you back. I don't think this conversation is working very well. I finished up the bismuth crystals and I called my friend back and we were done in 3 minutes. Compared to the 10 minutes I kept asking him to repeat and all that. So multitasking might not work, but what might work is doing something that accomplishes 2 goals at the same time, right? So for example, when I go to this art show, not only do I bring in a side income from selling bismuth art, but I hopefully network with the right people, maybe even meet that significant other, and I get to hone in on practicing I have social anxiety, right? The art show is a little bit higher than in terms of social activity than I'm normally used to dealing with. I get to practice that a little bit. Or, for example, you get the idea, right? It's a lot easier to do one thing that accomplishes two goals than to try to do two things at the same time. So the analogy I sometimes like to give is that we all know we shouldn't text and drive, right? That's an inadvisable way to multitask. But a good way to multitask is when you finally drive your car out there to get multiple errands done at the same time, right? That's the analogy I like to give. Anyways, even though multitasking might not work, try to think about ways you could do things that accomplish two or three goals at the same time. That kind of multitasking definitely would work.